Hello, Dr. Phil Stokes, Executive Director here. Welcome to Resurgence Brewing Company, home of Penn Dixie's first ever virtual Hops and Rocks Gala. We've come a long way this year, and I need to first acknowledge those who made it possible. To our staff, our board of directors, volunteers, you helped us through some tough times. To our members and community supporters, thank you for helping us keep the lights on. To Erie County and the town of Hamburg, thank you for helping cultural organizations get through a very difficult time. To our visitors, thank you for wearing your darned masks. You know, things looked pretty bleak back in March. We had some hardships. No field trips, no programs, no tourists, no special events, no opening, no sense of normalcy. As a result, we slashed expenses and new initiatives were halted. Spare change was found in the couch cushions to help pay for marketing. With the help of a loan from Evans Bank, we were able to retain all of our staff. Protective gear was purchased, plans were made, trainings were held, and a phased reopening was executed. It was a slow start. The park was deserted in June. July's heat wave kept attendance low, and we really didn't see an uptick until August. But change was in the air. August weather was beautiful, and we welcomed a steady stream of visitors. By the end of the month, we had 30% more visitors this August than in August last year. September proved that August was no fluke. And by the end of September, we had 69% more visitors than the previous month, than September 2019. And the trend continued into October. In fact, by the end of the season, we had more general admissions visitors this year than in all of 2019. What a turn of events. So 2021 brings a lot of uncertainty, but also opportunity. Thanks to your support, Penn Dixie is positioned to take great leaps forward. With help from the town of Hamburg and Operating Engineers Local 17 Training Fund, Penn Dixie will soon have a new entrance and parking lot on Jeffrey Boulevard. Now, this project has been a long-term goal of the organization and represents the first milestone in our visitor center development project. With the closure of our historic entrance and the completion of our 25th season, one era is coming to an end. What does the future hold? I believe that our supporters, like you, have the energy to propel Penn Dixie far into the future. Science education will remain as important as ever as our society faces new challenges. Thanks to your passion, today's young fossil hunters will solve the science problems of tomorrow. Once again, I thank our board of directors and our sponsors, Evans Bank, Merchants Insurance, and the Blaisdell Rod and Gun Club for hosting a lovely virtual gala. Enjoy your delicious food and drink from Resurgence and bid on some swag. We'll see you in person in 2021. Until then, stay safe and please look out for your friends, neighbors, and loved ones.
Professor Gordon Baird, who obtained his PhD in 1975 from the University of Rochester, is a paleontologist, stratigrapher, and sedimentologist. His research is focused on the sedimentary and tectonic history of the earliest phases of Appalachian mountain building, known as the Taconic orogeny. For many years, Dr. Baird has teamed up with Dr. Carlton Brett at the University of Cincinnati to map and interpret ancient sedimentary basins associated with this important event. Dr. Baird has written dozens of papers, been cited countless times, and has presented at various geological conferences, including the New York State Geological Association, the American Association of Petroleum Geologists, and the Geological Society of America, just to name a few. His research has taken him all over the world to places such as New Zealand and Australia, the Pacific Northwest, and Siberia. Dr. Baird's 23-page curriculum vitae can best be summed up by one of his thousands of former students who fondly said that he is a great teacher who is great to listen to with a sense of humor.
All right, it's really a great honor to present the first ever Gordon C. Baird Visionary Award to Dr. Gordon C. Baird. 50 years ago, Dr. Baird came to Penn Dixie to collect fossils, to research and study the rocks, and really was a key figure in the preservation of the site. He wrote letters to advocate to prevent this from becoming a development, and he's here today as the first recipient of the Gordon C. Baird Visionary Award as a thank you for his work in getting our land preserved.
Dr. Baird, it is my honor to present you this award, and it is also my honor to be one of the many caretakers of your vision. Without you, I'm not quite sure where this park would be. Quite likely it'd be development. So thank you for your vision and your efforts.
Thanks, Frank. I humbly accept. But my role is, in a bigger picture, is not the key player here. I had a critical role at a critical time. But the real winners here, the real soldiers that made this possible, were local community leaders and residents in the 1980s who championed, chafed at the bit, so to speak, to get the regional community to support the idea of a special park, which would later become the Penn Dixie Fossil Park. And so this is an example of very exceptional leadership at the local level in America today. And it has borne great fruit. In essence, it's part of a communitarian groundswell that involved risks. And I think it created something fundamentally new, which is now something of national scale in terms of significance. I thank you all, and I thank all of those who helped put this together before me.
Hi, my name is Dr. Holly Schreiber. I'm the Director of Education at Penn Dixie Fossil Park and Nature Reserve. I want to thank all of our visitors and supporters for making 2020 a great year for us. Though we faced some challenges in spring, like a lot of businesses and organizations, we were able to open in June and welcome a lot of visitors this year, actually surpassing the 2019 attendance this year. We also added a few new programs this fall, an Earth Science Homeschool series, as well as self-guided science. We really look forward to adding more programs over the winter and into 2021. Thank you again.
Hi everyone, I'm Catherine Konieczny, the new Director of Science here at Penn Dixie. I'm happy to be a part of the team and to have gotten to work on some of those amazing on-site programs that Dr. Holly was speaking about. It's been such a joy to create and participate in new programs on site, and I look forward to creating even more programs during the winter, especially some virtual programming in partnership with a New York Life grant that we were able to receive with the help of former board member Jim Eisman. So keep an eye out for those next year.
Hello, my name is Dr. Melanie Hopkins, and I'm a curator and paleontologist at the American Museum of Natural History. It is my great pleasure to welcome you here tonight for a brief behind-the-scene tour of the museum. Right now, we're standing in a hallway on the 5th floor of the museum. We're above all of the exhibit areas. And along both sides of this hallway, there are a bunch of office spaces, lab spaces, and collection spaces. And as you can see, both sides of the hallway are lined with cabinets as well. Most of the 34 million specimens that the museum has in its collections are housed on site, and so we use every space possible to store them.
We are now entering my office, which you can see is really a multifunctioning space, housing more collections, lab space for study and imaging, and workspace. Most of the specimens in these cabinets are trilobites, which are extinct arthropods that lived and dominated ancient oceans many hundreds of millions of years ago. You may already know about trilobites since they are a common and popular fossil found at Penn Dixie. In these cabinets, we take care of specimens that were part of the James Hall collection, which was one of the first collections that the museum acquired in 1875, shortly after the museum was established. In the same space, we also house many of the specimens that were studied by former curator Niles Eldridge, and were critical to the early development of the theory of punctuated equilibrium. In addition, we have many specimens from around the world, including these Hoacaspis trilobites from Bolivia. All of the specimens that are laid out on tables or in open-door cabinets are all part of active research projects. One of these projects is on growth rates in trilobites. Like all arthropods, trilobites molted as they grew, and because they had a hard exoskeleton for most of their post-hatching life, we can piece together how they changed during development from all of the molts they left behind to become fossils. But in order to do this, we need many, many specimens of the same species from all different developmental stages. We use a variety of tools to study trilobites, from the traditional microscope and techniques for whitening specimens, to new technologies in stacked imaging and even CT scanning. Although museum scientists are frequently away from the museum doing field work and bringing newly collected specimens back to the museum for study, we make it our mission to also care for historic collections because new ideas and new technologies allow us to use old collections in new ways. Now let's take a quick walk down to the prep labs. Sometimes specimens, especially newly collected specimens, need some preparation before they can be studied. We have two facilities down the hall from my office where this happens. For example, here are some specialized tools that we use to carefully remove bits of rock covering the fossils. This is our fume hood, where we use acid to dissolve rocks, exposing little teensy silicified fossils within. We also have rock saws and rock polishers for making thin sections. You can't see from this angle, but right outside that window is Central Park. In addition to research and collections, one of the museum's primary missions is education. One way we pursue this is through exhibition, like the case of trilobite specimens. We also have many educational programs, including our collaboration with Phil and Holly to bring New York City area earth science teachers to Penn Dixie. In 2019, we brought 10 teachers to Penn Dixie to learn more about New York State geology and to have some fieldwork experience, including doing their own fossil collecting. Teachers collected specimens to take back to their classrooms. We also collected large rock samples and shipped them back to the museum. Later in the fall, those same teachers brought their students to the museum for a day of activities, including breaking open the rock samples and finding and identifying fossils themselves. Some teachers have since been able to bring the same experience to other students back at their schools. Unfortunately, the COVID pandemic required us to pause the program for this year, but we hope to start up again in 2021, bringing a whole new group of teachers with us to experience Penn Dixie.
I hope you've enjoyed this brief behind-the-scenes tour of the museum. Thank you and good night.
I'm Frank Scarpinato, chairman of the board for Penn Dixie, and it has been my honor this year to serve as such. This year has been challenging, as I'm sure everyone is well aware. 2020 has thrown some monkey wrenches in. We began the year when I took over as chair with the intent to start a capital campaign so we can get our building off the ground. Needless to say, we had to change our plans. This year, we have faced the challenges of the pandemic. We have faced the challenges of civil unrest. We have faced the challenges of political division. The one thing that has remained constant, though, is everyone's commitment to Penn Dixie. And that I am very pleased to see. And again, thank you. Our members have continued to step up and provide for us. Erie County and the town of Hamburg have continued their support for us and the other culturals in the region, which has been a huge, huge benefit for us. We are beginning to transition over to our new location. We will be building a parking lot and entrance on Jeffrey Boulevard with the help of the town of Hamburg and others. We are also looking forward to changing a whole lot of things. Some changes we have to make for 2020 we found beneficial, have improved our efficiency and capacity. We will keep those. We want to thank all of our visitors and members for wearing your masks. We want everyone to be healthy and safe this year. Again, this has been a difficult year, and we thank you for all of your support. We hope you have had a chance to bid and bid a lot on many of our fundraisers. We have many amazing prizes. I also want to reach out and thank Resurgence for the use of their facility and their sponsorship. Please support our sponsors. I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to Phil, Holly, and Catherine. You guys have done an amazing job under the most difficult of situations. You were able to change on a dime and switch how we did everything. How we handled our visitors, safety for our visitors, cleaning processes, staffing, everything had to change overnight. We changed our budgets in a just immediate time frame. And these things are not easy. And you guys have stepped up and delivered far more than we could have ever hoped. Without you, our organization would not be doing as well as we are. I also want to thank the continued support of all of our members and donors. 25 years ago, we began as a very small organization that had a small, localized, community-based support group. Now, we have donors all over the region, and not only that, we have been able to create something that will last generations. The vision of Dr. Baird has been enshrined in an award. The first one, of course, was given to him. His vision in the early 80s is what became Penn Dixie. Without his vision and others, we would not be. We would not be providing the education, the hands-on education opportunities that we do for children and adults alike. We are creating leaders and scientists tomorrow. And again, I'd like to really thank you for your support and your continued perseverance in seeing us into the future. I hope you've enjoyed the food. I hope you enjoy the evening, and thank you.
Baird out.